Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. My name is Miles. Pre-taped from Las Vegas, Caesars Palace, 55th floor. A lot of fun had last night and this weekend. I've been having a good time. Not doing great on the bets, but still having a good time. Scheduling change for this week. Today's episode is going to be the Sunday Best Awards and the review of Sunday Night Football. And whereas I usually post the second episode of the week directly after Monday Night Football, that will not come out tonight. It'll be out tomorrow. So let's talk Sunday. Let's talk Eagles, Packers, and then I'll give out some Sunday Best Awards for what I thought might be a sleepy Sunday, but was super exciting. Eagles, Packers there's a lot of points. I think it was 27-20 at half. We ended up with like 73 total points. Jalen Hurts started red hot on the ground, over 100 yards rushing in the first quarter. Green Bay fans, around me maybe having memories of Colin Kaepernick, 2013 divisional, when you just had to say, like, do the Packers know that the quarterback can run the ball? The Eagles started to pull away from it. Rodgers went down. He had the injury to the ribs. We watched him jog to the locker room like every 5 minutes for the rest of the game. It was 37-23 at that time. Jordan Love came in, hit a slant to Christian Watson, 63-yard touchdown. We're like, 37-30. We're back in business here. Vegas, baby, the most exciting Sunday Night Football game of the year. And the Eagles, the run game, they took that the response to the Christian Watson slant, which happened with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they just kept the ball for 7 minutes on their way to a field goal to make it a two-possession game, over and out. Big win for the Eagles. And it's the hype coming back to the Eagles was important. They bullied the Packers on the ground. Hurts finished with 157 on the ground. Miles Sanders had 143 yards, 2 touchdowns. Gainwell, Boston Scott, they added 53 yards. This was the most rushing yards for a team in a game this season. It was 363 total rushing yards. And like second place is not even close. It's at 314, which was Titans week 7 against Houston. So this was by far the most successful running game a team has employed. Obviously, hugely helped by the fact that a lot of it was the quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Eagles are 10-1, get a boost of confidence after, what's been a little bit of a bummer run. They got their first loss in week 10 to the Commanders. Then they got sort of a shaky win, a morale loss to the Colts in week 11. They needed this. They needed to make this pivot from last year's Cardinals. Kyler Murray and then, they were the September and October darlings, even early November, but they fell off. We're thinking in the back of our minds, is that going to be the Eagles this year? No, it doesn't look like it. It's a fun team. The Eagles are a fun team. They've got to be the NFC favorites. They made a Christmas album. We'll talk more about that, but Jordan Mailata sounds like a damn angel on it. If you're a team making albums, you've got to be winning games like this on prime time. Jalen Hurts, maybe some MVP talk. It's a primetime game. Maybe it's a little, I think it's still going to be Mahomes, but the big story for the Packers is, of course, the Rodgers rib injury and Jordan Love's decent stats. So that is going to create a lot of talk this year. Like, what are they going to do? Is Jordan Love going to get his shot? Is he going to get his make or break month? Because Rodgers isn't playing well, and I know that the Rodgers PR machine is working. Aaron Rodgers is the Richard Nixon of the NFL. This is a crazy take. When I have not got on the show, he's really good at PR. Just these subtle little comments about his receivers, about his thumb, about the coaching staff, about the play calls. It's always vague enough so it can't quite be pinned on him. And then some sports writer gets that and thinks it's their idea to talk about it. Now, I'm not saying Rodgers is faking a rib injury, but I will say that Rodgers' rib injury is going to be in the first paragraph of media stories, whereas none of the wide receiver injuries Those guys don't get a pass for injury. Only Rodgers does. And is Jordan Love good? That's going to be the question. I want him to get this make or break month. That would be really cool. So Vegas tonight, Vegas yesterday night. Boy, it was not a good betting day, as I alluded to. I did great on Saturday. I bet Michigan to beat Ohio State. Won a bunch of money. I bet the Huskies to beat the Cougars on the Apple Cup. That was a smaller bet, but I won that. One was 2 for 2. Lost it all. Lost it all Sunday. Oh, some bad beats, some bad breaks. I had a 3-game parlay of first half overs with the 10 a.m. game, and the only one that didn't hit was Titans-Bengals. I needed them to combine for more than 21 points, and as you may recall, the Titans missed a field goal just before the half. I was like, oh my gosh. And then my wife had a really great shot at winning a huge parlay. Puts down like $60, and she would have won like almost 400. She got the Browns. She got another team in there, and then she just needed the Ravens to stop the Jaguars. So that was a bummer. And there was a group next to us, a big group of Canadian World Cup fans who already had a bad morning, as I know that Canada lost the World Cup early that morning, or lost their group stage match. And they were also super rooting for the Ravens. So we were just all joined in misery as Trevor Lawrence drove the field, got the touchdown, got the 2-point conversion. That would have been awesome. So let's get the Sunday Best Awards. I don't have my special sound effects or anything, but that's okay. I know a lot of you are thinking, God, what is the show without the sound effects? Don't worry. They will be back next week. So Mukilteo Football Show. Follow us at MUK_football on Twitter. Subscribe, share, review on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, wherever you get podcasts. We have shows Sunday after Sunday Night Football, Monday after Monday Night Football, Thursday after Thursday Night Football every week, except this week is having just a day delay on both the Sunday and Monday shows. So let's get to Sunday Best Awards. The most half-hearted clapping award goes to Jets quarterback Zach Wilson. Because he cannot be happy about what happened on Sunday as his backup, Mike White, comes in against the Bears and just has a day. For the second time in 2 years this has happened. Zach Wilson is the problem, right? This is definitely not hurting the narrative that Zach Wilson is holding back this team that's getting better and better on the roster. The fact that Mike White comes in and plays well. This was the top passer rating game of the last 2 years of the Zach Wilson era. So actually, it goes even further. Since drafting Zach Wilson, second overall in 2021, the top 4 passer rating games for Jets quarterbacks are all not Zach Wilson. It was Mike White this Sunday versus Chicago, Joe Flacco in week 2 this year against Cleveland, Mike White last year, week 8 against Cincinnati, and then Joe Flacco last year, week 11 against Miami. Those are the top 4 passer rating games for Jets quarterback since they drafted Zach Wilson. And Zach Wilson, he's played most of the games, 20 out of 28 of the games. So the 4 best games come from the 8 times he didn't play. That's so bad. That's so damning for what we see with our eyes, which is Zach Wilson is holding back the baby Jets. Now, to be fair, Flacco and Mike White have both had their share of duds in there, usually directly following these good games, so we'll see what happens. But Jets, the Zach Wilson thing is done, I would say, and we all have to start picking apart why Zach Wilson was drafted over Justin Fields. Certainly no college football fan would have said Wilson, they'd rather have Wilson than Fields. So what was it? What was it? I did like this Jets game. A quick side note. As they beat the Bears, it blew the doors off the Bears. They gave me a chance to finally be excited about my Garrett Wilson Offensive Rookie of the Year pick. I don't think he's going to get it, but it was nice to see him and that he is that player. He's my favorite receiver coming out of this draft. All right, next award. I need my sound effects. Boop, boop, boop. The Wrongly Directed Anger Award goes to Lamar Jackson, some random fan on Twitter, and the media. Everybody's wrongly directing their anger. So what happened? Lamar Jackson scored a touchdown. They were up like 19-10, and then they blew it to the Jaguars. Another blown lead for the Ravens. And Lamar Jackson after the game, a Twitter fan posted basically, why do we need to pay Lamar $250 million guaranteed? This game should not come down to a Justin Tucker 67-yard field goal attempt. And Lamar responded, which you never do. Don't go full Kevin Durant, Lamar. You just got to stay out of the fray. It's a lose-lose situation for you and not for the fan. Lamar responded with STFU, which stands for something that I can't say here without getting the explicit tag. And then he added more about, not smelling the field and some colorful sailors language that also probably shouldn't be shared. But now the media is stretching it to be like homophobic language. It definitely wasn't overtly homophobic. I mean, if you want to be outraged about it, you will be. I don't necessarily agree, but I do think that Lamar Jackson shouldn't have joined this and shouldn't have said any of that, especially online. And funny, he's actually subtly criticizing you all, talking on this app, maybe you should be off the app, Lamar. But the point is, misdirected anger all around. The media for focusing on this, this outrage that they quote unquote, they're gonna publish an article that says, Lamar Jackson uses a racial slur or a homophobic slur. Like, no, he didn't. But you purposely don't put the tweet in there so people can imagine their own outrage. I'm getting off track there. I don't think Lamar Jackson should have said it. That's my official stance. But the outrage is all misplaced. Lamar Jackson, you shouldn't be talking to this fan. And fan, you shouldn't be blaming Lamar Jackson for this loss. Where's the Ravens defense in all this? Why? They blew it. They were like butter out there to Trevor Lawrence. They weren't even guarding the guys who caught the ball on some of them. There were some good throws by Lawrence. We'll talk about him more tomorrow. But, I mean, Lamar Jackson shouldn't be blaming this fan, and the fan shouldn't be blaming Lamar Jackson. They should all be posting, like, where are you, Marcus Peters? What earth are you on? Shouldn't you be guarding someone? It was just bad. And it happened against Miami. It happened against the Giants. I don't know if I want to call the Bills' collapse solely on the Ravens' defense, since Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, they didn't score any points in the second half, so they're kind of super culpable in that one as well. But Lamar Jackson's got no weapons as well. That's the other part of it. So anyway, misdirected anger all around. Next award. All right, most disappointing way for Seattle residents to end a Cabana Vegas pool party. We were at Circa. We're at this place where there's just these huge, it's called the Circa Hotel Stadium Swim with 4 stories of televisions. That is not an exaggeration. It is 4 stories high. It was a blast, except the ending. Because Seahawks Raiders was one of the last games still going, as we had spent all morning having fun, drinking and eating and gambling, and it was just so much fun, and you were in the pool and swimming and just what a great time. But Seahawks Raiders go to overtime. It had been a wild back and forth game. Geno Smith's got 328 yards. Derek Carr's almost got 300 yards. There's all these turnovers all over the place. Just a wild game. And Josh McDaniels almost lost the game. Unremembered because they did win, but he made some questionably conservative decisions, the Raiders coach did. Kicking the field goal instead of going for it on 4th and 1 inside the 10 to tie the game. And then in overtime, he's got 4th and 2. The offense has been driving, and he punts. Now, non-analytics guys, I get it. You don't want numbers. Let me tell you what my gut was, what our guts was, us Seattle fans watching on a 4-story high TV. We wanted him to kick it. We had full-throated cheers about Josh McDaniel kicking that field goal and punting that ball. We were praying, don't go for it, don't go for it. There's the gut feeling that you should hold on to since you don't believe in the numbers. But, of course, bailed out as Geno Smith, got a 3-and-out from midfield, just needing a field goal to win. We punt back to Josh Jacobs. We're out of the pool. We've packed up the cabana, a day of football and booze and beer and gambling and swimming and eating. It was so awesome, like you can only have in Las Vegas. And you watch Josh Jacobs, 1st and 10 from his own 14, take it right up the middle, through the Seahawks, victory for the Raiders. My friend Sarah's flipping off the TV. Anthony's walking off in disgust. I filmed that and posted that on Twitter at MUK_football. And yes, we lost. And I know the irony of the Seahawks fans being in Vegas, watching the Vegas Raiders play in Seattle. Quite funny. But Josh Jacobs was the man. I mean, finishes with 229 yards and 2 touchdowns, 109 yards and 1 touchdown in overtime. Most of it, of course, that 86-yard touchdown. Wish it wasn't against Seattle, but Josh Jacobs is having an amazing year. All right, last award. The Gone with the Wind / Conflicted Farewell Award goes to Cleveland and the Browns fans and Jacoby Brissett. This is, unless Deshaun Watson gets hurt or something, this is the last game that Jacoby Brissett is scheduled to start. And what does he do? He beats the GOAT. He beats Tom Brady. And Browns fans, they're Scarlett O'Hara on the tarmac. We've had 12 weeks with Jacoby as their quarterback. They've warmed to the guy. We're watching in the rain. He's played better than anyone could have predicted. The 11-game suspension for Deshaun Watson that many Browns fans were upset about. Reminder, Watson thinks he did absolutely nothing wrong, so you got a bumpy ride coming ahead as well. And Brissett's got that underdog role. He's such a Cleveland quarterback. It's just so much of a bummer that he's got to go for this guy they gave a $250 million guaranteed contract to, Deshaun Watson. And Browns fans, they feel bittersweet about it. He just beat Tom Brady. The Browns defense showed up. Myles Garrett beats the backup Bucs tackle and smacks Brady down, and Brissett gets a wide open Amari Cooper. All these moves are hitting and coming together. Browns fans may be feeling like, hey, what do we do now? Where will we go? What's going to happen? And Brissett, who in the rain, maybe he'll get a starter stretch somewhere else because of this stretch, turns back to the Browns fans in the locker room and says, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. All right, Mukilteo Football Show. We will see you tomorrow for winners and losers of Week 12. We'll talk more about the Chargers, the Cardinals, a little bit more on the Buccaneers. We're definitely going to focus in on the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence. And then, of course, review the Colts Steelers game. I'm going to put a bet on the under for that game, even though the under's super low, 39. I win either way. Either it's a super boring game and the under is 39 and I get to get my money, or it's more exciting than people expect and there's more points, because points to me are exciting and I get to enjoy my last night in Vegas at the Caesars Sportsbook, I think is where we'll watch it. So anyway, have a good night and we will be back tomorrow.